The U.S. says it won't be deterred by China's latest sanctions. Beijing recently penalized 4 American officials serving on a religious freedom commission. The move came after the U.S. levied its own sanctions. China plans to keep a steep tariff in place for at least another year. The tax impacts a certain U.S. product and dates back to the Trump era. Stay away from Chinese meats. That's the suggestion Germany's anti-doping agency made to athletes as they venture to Beijing for the Winter Olympics. Taiwan offers a $1 billion credit program to support projects in Lithuania. That's after the island announced a $200 million investment fund to help the Baltic country counter pressure from Beijing. And lockdown orders tighten in China. 35 million people are under stay-at-home orders as cases of the Omicron and Delta variants paralyze certain cities. Welcome to China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer. Before we turn to today's daily news, we have a short announcement. We have our premiere at 9:30 p.m. from Monday to Saturday, not only on YouTube, but also on TV. NTD is available on many platforms, including cable TV, satellite, and over-the-air TV across the U.S., and it continues to grow. Please check out ntd.com/TV. Type in your zip code to find all the ways you can watch our show. That's ntd.com/TV. And now we turn to today's daily news. Washington says it's undeterred by China's recent sanctions, targeting 4 U.S. government officials. In a statement posted Monday, Secretary of State Antony Blinken says the U.S. stands in solidarity with the sanctioned officials and that the United States will continue to use all diplomatic and economic tools to defend human rights around the world. The statement comes after Beijing sanctioned 4 U.S. government officials. All of them are members of the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom. The organization is a branch of the federal government that monitors rights violations around the world. They also make policy recommendations to the U.S. president. Under the penalties, the 4 officials are banned from entering China. Beijing's move comes after the U.S. sanctioned 2 Chinese officials over the repression of Uyghurs in Xinjiang. China's Commerce Ministry said on Tuesday it will keep tariffs on imports of U.S. distillers' grains. This while it conducts an investigation. The investigation will look into when the tariffs expire. It's set to start on Wednesday and last until January 12, 2023. The ministry said it had received an application for expiry review from China's Alcoholic Drinks Association. China first imposed anti-dumping and anti-subsidy tariffs on U.S. distillers' grains in 2016. Soon after, China's imports of the product fell sharply. Distiller grain is a byproduct of alcohol manufacturing, specifically alcohol that's distilled from grains. This byproduct can also be used as livestock feed. In 2017, China raised those tariffs to the levels they are today, around 50%. Higher tariffs between China and the U.S. were levied against each other under the Trump administration. Most of those penalties have remained. The move to keep tariffs on U.S. distillers' grains comes in slight contrast to actions last year. In 2021, China lifted tariffs on hundreds of imported U.S. goods. A message for athletes heading to Beijing next month for the Winter Olympics not to eat meat in China. That's the director from the German anti-doping agency on Monday. The agency sent a warning to traveling athletes for fear they might fall foul of doping regulations. Athletes may test positive in drug tests when they eat too much meat produced with clenbuterol, a steroid used to bulk up livestock and produce leaner meat. And anti-doping agencies have long warned about this risk in meat produced in China. This steroid made headlines in the past when cycling champion Alberto Contador tested positive on the 2010 Tour de France. He blamed contaminated Spanish meat. But even so, he lost his title and was banned from competing for 2 years. It's illegal to use clenbuterol in animals in the U.S. and Europe, but the drug has earned notoriety in China. Over the years, numerous Chinese news reports have detailed cases of people falling ill after eating meat products loaded with clenbuterol. In 2011, a German doping laboratory launched an investigation into this. Here's its finding. Among 28 travelers returning to Germany from China, 22 tested positive for low levels of clenbuterol. And in the 2012 London Olympics, China banned its own Olympic athletes from eating meat produced in China for fear the athletes would fail their drug tests at the London Games. A Chinese gold medalist revealed an urgent state order on Chinese social media, saying they were banned from eating pork, beef, or lamb when dining out. In her post, she further questioned, is there any food safe to eat in China? Taiwan has another generous offer for Lithuania. It comes as China exerts great pressure on this European state over its friendship with Taiwan. On Tuesday, the Taiwanese government announced a credit program of $1 billion to fund projects between Lithuania and Taiwanese companies. That's a big help for Lithuanian companies, which are facing China's economic retaliation after Taiwan set up an office there. China considers Taiwan part of its territory with no right to diplomatic recognition. The fund follows a similar announcement from Taiwan last week that it would create a separate $200 million investment fund to help Lithuania amid a diplomatic row with Beijing. Before the diplomatic spat, which erupted last year, China was Lithuania's 13th biggest trade partner and Taiwan its 65th. But now, Lithuanian officials say China has blocked their imports, downgraded their diplomatic ties, and pressured international companies to stop using Lithuanian-made products. Last week, Beijing blasted Taiwan's investment fund for Lithuania as dollar diplomacy. On Monday, it also accused the U.S. of inciting the European nation to try to contain China.
The U.S. has supported, aided, and abetted them to contain China with Taiwan.
Beijing's fury comes after a U.S. diplomat expressed support for Lithuania last week, where she called China's pressure economic coercion. Despite Beijing's anger, both Taiwan and Lithuania seem happy about the new deals. A Taiwanese official said the investment and credit funds will help us strengthen the cooperation, and a Lithuanian official replied saying it is very good news and that they will be very happy to facilitate the partnership. Lithuania expects the new credit program to boost projects in the tech industry, including computer chips, laser, and biotechnology. The Lithuanian official says they are expecting to open a trade representation in Taiwan in the spring. U.S. electric car maker Tesla currently ranks number 3 in electric vehicle sales in China. It's the only foreign brand ranked in the top 10. Tesla is also breaking sales records in the Chinese market. Tuesday data from the China Passenger Car Association shows Tesla sold over 70,000 Chinese-made vehicles in December. This is the highest number of monthly sales since it started manufacturing in Shanghai in 2019. And compared to the previous December, this sales figure is close to 3 times higher. Tesla's China-made car sales racked up almost 500,000 units last year. The number of sales accounts for half of its total sales worldwide. Tesla recently opened a new showroom in the capital of Xinjiang, but Uyghur rights groups criticized the opening, saying it provides economic support for human rights abuses. Tesla's Shanghai factory started delivering vehicles at the end of 2019. The facility makes electric Model 3 sedans and Model Y sport utility vehicles. Luxury automaker Rolls-Royce says strong demand revved up car sales to an all-time high last year. It's the latest luxury brand to report record sales. And the U.S. and China are its 2 key markets. NTD's Jessica Beatty reports.
Luxury car maker Rolls-Royce says sales rose 49% in 2021, and it sold over 5,500 cars. That's the largest number in its 117-year history. Its CEO says sales hit all-time records in most regions.
And I've never seen all markets worldwide on such a strong level. It's amazing.
Premium and luxury car sales have been growing more broadly in key global markets like the United States and China. And pandemic travel restrictions have left wealthy consumers with more disposable income.
COVID forced many people to ground, not to travel anymore. And for that reason, there is also quite a lot of wealth accumulated, and that is spent into luxury goods.
Rolls-Royce said it didn't see any chip shortages thanks to its parent company, BMW, which gave it all the chips it needed.
The U.S., as well as the area known as Greater China, each take 30% of the company's sales. Greater China includes mainland China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Macau. German carmaker Volkswagen has ambitions in the world's largest auto market. It wants to double its sales of electric cars in China Yet certain factors could create uncertainty.
Volkswagen is likely to double sales of its ID battery electric vehicles in China this year. That's according to the German carmaker Tuesday. The ID series is the central focus of VW's electric ambitions in the world's largest auto market. The company sold just over 70,000 of the vehicles in China last year, but that was below the target of up to 100,000 cars. VW's underperformance was blamed on the health crisis and a shortage of semiconductors. Chips are used in everything from brake sensors to power steering and entertainment systems. The supply issue has forced car companies around the world to cut or suspend production. Though VW is confident of doubling sales this year, regional head Stefan Wallenstein warned the chip shortage may still cause problems. He said Volkswagen Group sales in China were down 14% last year, with 3.3 million cars sold in the country. The company aims to boost that number by around 500,000 units over the next 12 months, but that again depends on chip supply. VW is competing in a tough EV market. Electric sales are strong in China, but largely dominated by regional brands like BYD and Wuling.
Cities across China are imposing tougher restrictions to control new outbreaks of the CCP virus, which causes COVID-19. And at the top of that list, the Omicron variant. 2 of the first local cases of the variant were confirmed in Tianjin City Saturday. But as the city works to slow the spread, Omicron has already been found in 2 other provinces, Henan in central China and Jiangsu in the south. The outbreak in Tianjin has been linked to cases in Henan. Within the province inside Anyang City, 2 local Omicron infections were reported Monday. Officials traced them to a student who arrived from Tianjin. In response, the city has ordered its over 5 million residents to stay at home. A separate Omicron infection was also found on Monday, this time in the city of Wuxi in Jiangsu province. The area sits along China's coast, about 75 miles from Shanghai. The Omicron clusters come just weeks before Beijing will host the Winter Olympics. That's on top of the country's upcoming peak travel season, the days and weeks surrounding Chinese New Year in early February. To rein in the spread, authorities in Tianjin imposed travel restrictions and launched a mass virus testing mandate for all residents. That's amid growing fear that an outbreak in the city could overshadow the Olympics, since Tianjin neighbors Beijing. But health concerns extend beyond the Omicron variant too. A metropolis in east-central China called Zhengzhou is trying to fight off the Delta variant. The city is home to over 10 million residents. It's already shuttered its non-essential public facilities and some public transit services. And in South China, the city Shenzhen also makes the list. The metropolis links Hong Kong to mainland China and is known for its shopping destinations. Health workers there reported a handful of local Delta variant cases last week. Officials say one of the confirmed patients works for a company linked to the global supply chain and are urging residents not to buy goods from high-risk countries. 3 more Chinese cities are under lockdown again due to the pandemic. After Xi'an closed, 2 cities in central China's Henan province followed suit. One of them is Yuzhou. Authorities in that city paralyzed all activity there after detecting 2 COVID or CCP virus cases, while looking ahead to the upcoming Beijing Olympics.
In central China, the city of Yuzhou has been shuttered for over a week. It's located over 400 miles southwest of Beijing.
Yuzhou now is like Xi'an, the largest virus transmission area in the country. The lockdown started on the 3rd. It's been locked for a while. No one coming nor going. I cannot even go outside. I'm sealed inside my home.
City officials locked over 1 million residents indoors after just 2 new cases appeared in the area, making Yuzhou the second city to go under lockdown since the new year, after Xi'an City. The lockdowns are part of an effort to contain small outbreaks of the pandemic. That rings especially true in areas close to Beijing, as it gears up to host the Winter Olympics next month. As part of the shutdown orders, residents are forced to stay at home. Schools are closed, public transportation is suspended. Even businesses and grocery stores are largely shuttered, outside of providing daily necessities. On the roads, many truck drivers are backed up near the city's highway entrances. That's while they wait for negative test results to come back, needed to enter and exit the area. But one test won't suffice. Mandates say truck drivers must test negative at least 4 times before they're allowed to go into Yuzhou. Driver Li Chao says he had spent 7 days in his vehicle as of Sunday.
I've been stranded here for 7 days if today is included.
In that time, he lived off of meals provided by a local shopkeeper.
A notice from a hot pot restaurant in the east central Chinese city of Zhengzhou is going viral. The notice says the business is temporarily closing. It explains the restaurant's battle to remain open through floods and the pandemic. It all started last June. Just 2 days after its opening, Zhengzhou was struck by floods and the restaurant was forced to close. Business resumed a week later, but after just 5 days, it had to close again due to pandemic control measures. That closure lasted more than 2 months, until mid-October. Things then seemed to improve until it was forced to close again in January. A recent outbreak in the city put the area under strict control. Restaurants can only offer delivery and takeout, which is not practical for this business. The restaurant owner, Mr. Jia, says this is his first business and that he suffered great losses for it. But this time, he can no longer hold the line. According to Chinese media, Mr. Jia didn't expect his notice to go viral, saying, quote, "This is the true story of our restaurant." And many say restaurant businesses across China share the same story. A comment says the pandemic affects far more than his restaurant. Too many small businesses are unable to continue. Another comment from the local online community says, "It's really heartbreaking. 2021 was too hard for Zhengzhou." Another round of mass virus tests began last Saturday, targeting all residents in the city, including temporary residents and foreigners. China has spent billions of dollars trying to catch up to the world's most advanced chip makers. But recently, some Chinese startups announced failure. Let's take a look at possible reasons they aren't succeeding.
China's dream of competing with chip makers TSMC and Samsung has failed recently. Officials injected hundreds of millions of dollars to support 2 semiconductor projects in Wuhan and Henan, but neither ever commercially built any chips.
If we say oil is the industrial blood of a country, chips are the industrial brains. So the chip manufacturing technologies represent country's overall scientific and technological strength.
China affairs analyst Jingyuan Tong says making more semiconductors is a vital priority for China because China has the greatest chip demand in the world.
China now makes nearly 1.2 billion mobile phones and 350 million computers a year, which drives 1/3 of the global demand for semiconductors. But China's self-sufficiency rate from domestic chips is only less than 30%. It especially lacks high-end chips.
But based on company statements and local government documents, over the past 3 years, at least 6 chip-building projects in China, including the ones in Wuhan and Henan, have failed. What's holding them back? Tong says one reason is that China's industrial base is weak and lacks high-end chip-making experts.
The CCP's economic model for many years has always been seeking quick success and instant benefits. With semiconductors, it requires a long-term and large investment. The CCP did not take it seriously in the early stage. Later, the CCP realized the importance of it and started to try to catch up in a very short time. But without a sound foundation, it's like building a high-rise building on the sand.
He says the second reason is China's political and economic system, which doesn't foster an innovative environment.
In China, all such high-level strategic projects get state capital investments, which leads to political officials guiding science development, amateurs leading professionals. The negative result is that China cannot effectively innovate.
Tong says chip development is tied to government performance. Therefore, officials are afraid of or even stop innovation when making decisions, because innovation contains risk and responsibility. In contrast, low-risk projects are encouraged eventually, and the whole situation curbs innovation. Faye Quarter, NTD News.
Thousands of Hong Kongers have moved to British cities as Beijing continues to exert more control over Hong Kong. As they begin to get used to their new life, many have kept the spirit of protest alive while in the UK. From Manchester, NTD's Jane Worrell brings us this report.
Regina Poon is one of nearly 90,000 Hong Kongers who applied to live in the UK last year. When she contacts her friends in Hong Kong, they don't talk about the erosions of freedoms in the city.
We never speak anything about the Hong Kong situation.
The UK opened a special visa route for Hong Kongers last January after Beijing imposed a security law on Hong Kong. She made the decision to move after seeing news reports of a policeman pinning down a young girl's neck on the street.
I see that the log of the policeman, he seems like so proud of himself. He seems like, I have got the power. So at that moment, I decided to leave. That is not the Hong Kong police that I know.
She counts herself lucky that she had a property she could sell in Hong Kong, which helped her move and find a flat to rent with a friend in Manchester. On Sunday, she joined several hundred Hong Kongers at a protest in the city centre.
Today the weather is very poor, but I am so moved.
Many want to keep on their masks on camera. Among those attending, an assistant to a former Hong Kong councillor who found guardians in Manchester who were willing to support her.
I'm also being arrested before because of an unlawful assembly and also the mask law. Manchester is just like a big Hong Kong because we can meet many Hong Kongers now in the Manchester.
The number of Hong Kongers in the UK is expected to reach 100,000 this year, and it could potentially reach 300,000 in the next 5 years. A co-founder of a property company here says with the unrest in Hong Kong, they've had daily inquiries from Hong Kongers, typically from young families with school-aged children. His family moved from Hong Kong to Manchester when he was 9. He's now giving job opportunities to Hong Kongers to meet the demand and to help them settle.
We have from 5 employees grow to 20 plus employees. Most of them mainly from Hong Kong as well. We found a place for them to live, and then we offer a job for them. It's the whole story, and I just feel it's better than we earn money, to be honest. Yeah. If we give them opportunity to grow, we grow together.
On the streets of Manchester and other cities this weekend, many newly arrived Hong Kongers found their place to keep their spirit of protest alive. Jane Worrell, NTD News, Manchester.
And that's all for today's China in Focus. But before you go, we have a short announcement. As you may already know, YouTube has demonetized us for about a year. That means our ability to run ads or earn money on YouTube has been taken away. So if you like our coverage, you can donate to show your support. Here's how. In the description box down below, it's a link that will take you through the entire process. Thank you for your continued support, and we look forward to providing you with more insights into China in the year ahead. Thanks for watching, and see you tomorrow.